toilet!
Every story has a beginning. Every book, its first chapter, word, and letter. This particular story begins with me hearing about Pentiment, a historical adventure game about a murder mystery set in Bavaria. Then I just fucking forgot about it, wanted to find it later, googled for Bavarian game, and found this gem instead. So the intro was almost accurate. I did up playing Pentiment. It was nice, I enjoyed it, made me think about life or whatever. Great music, cool art style. Play it! Or don't. It is definitely not the 10 out of 10 IGN that IGN claims it to be, but it is pretty cute. But you're not here to hear about some sort of Pentiment. Oh no, my sister, brother, my father, mother. Today we are taking a look at a Bavarian tale, Totgeschwiegen. Released to very positive Steam user reviews. I literally can't stop replaying this one part of the trailer. And really fucking funny critic reviews. Unique, charming, promising, which is definitely a compliment when it comes to a released product. Simply different. Yeah. Anyways, released in February of 2023, Totgeschwiegen was developed and published by Active Fungus Studios, with this being their only title as of this video. Judging by the credits, there were like 12 people working on this or something, with some of them essentially doing a little bit of everything. Prime recipe for sweet, sweet Eurojank.
Go away, you monster! If you don't know that, God help you! Go now!
So, what is a Bavarian tale, Totgeschwiegen? Well, according to their Steam page, it's a historical crime RPG from the third-person perspective, set in the Upper Bavarian state village of Wolpertshofen in 1866. You play as one Valentin Schmidt, a census officer sent to bumfuck nowhere by the government to talk to villagers about their life. Then a murder happens, as they tend to in detective stories, and Mr. Schmidt is promoted to the fish-out-of-water outsider detective that has to solve the case for some reason, instead of doing the reasonable thing and just fucking leaving. Cue running, fighting, sneaking and shit, talking, rolling 20-sided dice, detectivizing, and Skittles, with its very own dedicated button.
Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!
Take that! Taste the pain! Take that! Taste the pain! Take.
And talking about pain, we should definitely talk about the performance. My rig isn't great by any standards, but holy guacamole does this shit not run well. Slap some recording software on this poorly optimized mess and I'm getting like 20 fps out there. There are Steam reviews mentioning this, so I don't feel like the problem is entirely on my end, and even if it was, I can't really solve it. So we're pumping up the FPS by dumping the settings down to their lowest. Partly that's so the game would be close to playable, and partly because everything just looks so much more fucking funny this way.
Having a good laugh about it.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
For some reason, the game considers the compass as a texture rather than a UI element, so setting textures to low makes it essentially unusable. That's okay, however, since the compass tends to just disappear randomly during gameplay anyway. It's also worth noting that you can't quit to the main menu, but rather can only exit the game entirely. So Schmidt begins his journey by trying to make his way to Wolpertshofen, but is stopped by two young gentlemen that are apparently part of the town's militia. This is also where we get introduced to the primary dialogue mechanic, the dice rolls. Totgeschwiegen, being a Bavarian DYSCO Elysium, also sports dice roll checks that are tied to your abilities. In essence, it's pretty simple. You have ability scores that you can improve, and when it comes time for the check, you roll 4 d20s and hope to hit the target score with each roll. If you fail, the roll compensates by taking away from your ability score. Once your score runs out, you fail the check. You can temporarily improve your ability scores even further by using items that you either find or craft, all fully usable within the roll screen itself, so you can adjust accordingly. It's a neat system, but definitely one that can fuck you over even if your ability score is maxed through the roof. 2 bad rolls in a row and you're out of there, with no way to repeat the roll later. Either way, well, they don't want us here, so we go and talk to Boy, who tells us that the guards are scared shitless of the local gang that's prowling the woods. Schmidt then takes a sensible approach, breaks into a local mill for wood, and crafts a doll in the likeness of the gang leader. We wait for nightfall, scare the guards off with the doll, and move on to the stealth section. Stealth is kinda shit. We make our way to the inn. The actual inn, not the door in the cow field that the developers forgot to delete. And have ourselves a nap. We then steal some beer from the beer garden and continue on with our day. We meet the mayor, who tells us that the village is having a rough time. There are bandits in the woods, there's been a murder. One of the local young men, a fellow named Lenz, is the victim. Oh, yeah, I'll be spoiling most of the story going forward. As it's a story-focused game, so there's really no way to avoid it, so if you want to experience true, bareback, raw dog Totgeschwiegen, go get it now, before I ruin it for you. It's $15 on Steam. It also has an official guidebook PDF, okay. So yeah, Lenz was found dead the morning after an argument between the local young upstart socialists, led by Leubel, the teacher, and the older gentry, the conservatives, led by the mayor, pastor, and the farmers. The late Lenz, having been buddies with Leubel and his ideologues, and now having been murdered, obviously points the crosshair at the conservatives. And the teacher is primed to explode in retaliation, quoting justice and hoarding guns at the forefront of the school. The mayor tasks Schmidt with solving the murder so the teacher would calm down, and we set off. It's about this point that I figure out my preferred method of movement. I go off and explore, and hear some calls of distress.
Come here! Have you served, my boy?
Here's where I make my acquaintance with Johann Ulrich, a retired Prussian officer, who is now stuck in the shithouse because he accidentally shot on his shoe.
What a blessing! Then fortunately, I am not the only one here who is not a Bavarian.
This segues into a good time to talk about the other dialogue system present in the game. From time to time, you'll be presented with 3 different response options. One academic, the other, as the game calls it, bizarre, which tends to be just Bavarian DYSCO Elysium unhinged philosophical rambling. And the hard line, which is typically just a harsh and authoritative response. Each important character in turn will respond differently to each approach. Some will like a direct approach, and others might prefer your nonsensical poetry instead. Correct responses will rack up empathy points with the character, which will then give you a slight boost for dice checks made while talking to him. Ultimately, this could be an interesting system, but it's honestly pretty bare bones. Naturally, the military officer will prefer you being straight and to the point, and the pastor likes it when you wax philosophy at him. Can you guess which approach the teacher prefers? That's right, academia. After helping out the Prussian shitter, we go ahead and interrogate our first suspect. A man by the name of Shush. Shush. He's big, burly, stupid, got into a fight with the victim at the night of the murder, and was seen heading the same direction. He doesn't want to talk, so we collect a bit of dirt on him, and come back. Here's where we get into our first confrontation, where we use the information collected with our previous skill checks to slowly tip the balance of the conversation to our advantage. Out of all the dialogue systems in the game, this one is by far the one that is most involved and actually manages to build up a bit of tension and intrigue. Good job, Totgeschwiegen. So he tells us that he doesn't remember anything about the night, so we come up with a plan to recreate the night instead. We get smashed, and Schmidt follows in his footsteps, which turns into a fun, drunken waddle across the town and forest, following a trail of discarded bottles. Turns out, Shush got shit-faced, and stumbled into the bedroom of his lover. So, yeah, he's got an alibi. We get tasked with investigating one of the local farmers instead, but it quickly turns out he's not guilty either. What about the priest then? There are rumors that he's sleeping with his housemaid, so I go and check her out, and it turns out her name is entirely in caps and gets cut off when I talk to her. Very suspicious. We then go on our way, and oh no, there's been another murder. Doctor's dead. Oh well. I go bowling.
Oh, for sure. I wasn't close, but it could all be connected.
Yes, what is it?
Exactly. So...
Come on, bitch.
So, considering the quality and clarity of my own audio, I really can't criticize the voice acting in the game, most of which, anyway, was done by the devs themselves, so I actually kind of think the heavy German accents and the goofy tone of it all adds a lot to the atmosphere of the entire place. Feels, I don't know, just like very Bavarian DYSCO Elysium. So, yeah, anyway, the doctor was found hanged and whacked across the head, much the same as the first victim, Lenz, well, aside from the hanging. I check out the priest, and he turns out to be clean. Him and the camp's log housemaid weren't fucking after all. Oh well. Schmidt then steals some radishes from an old lady, gets puked on, massacres an entire bandit camp with his own two hands, and then breaks the news to the mayor and the teacher. The culprit is nowhere to be found. This sparks a confrontation between the two sides, as they engage in a showdown in the middle of the village road. With the information I've collected and the bootlicking I've done, I am able to quickly calm both of the sides down, and the teacher drops his gun. It's about at this point that I start to feel like the skill system isn't really pulling its own weight. Like, sure, there's a ton of skills you can potentially invest in, but I've honestly just been spreading them out and buying or crafting items to compensate for the difficult checks. In turn, Master Schmidt turned into a jack of all trades, capable of doing pretty much everything, without any need to specialize. Plus, most of the time, a skill check will just appear in the middle of the dialogue, and you have no choice but to go through with it. So, planning just flies out of the window anyway. Oh well, I go talk to some lumberjacks. Without a culprit inside, we go investigate one of the local farmers. He's freaking out because he's haunted by the memories of a young girl that killed herself in his service. We go talk to the local witch who makes him a magical amulet. When we return, we find a trail of candles which leads us to a barn. Inside, we find a doll, hanged much like the doctor, seemingly imitating the death of the servant girl all those years ago. The farmer freaks out and runs off, and we are left with the knowledge that all of these murders are connected. It's all coming together. The fuck no, it's not, actually, because there's really been no hints towards anything, but yeah. All the pieces are in place. All that's left is for us to attend the service at the church. Can you guess who the murderer is? No, you probably can't, actually. As I mentioned earlier, and obviously, first of all, I wasn't really giving you many clues. I kind of skipped around a little bit, didn't include every single conversation I had with every single NPC, but honestly, with how few of the clues there were in the first place, I can't see the game didn't foreshadow it at all, but it was definitely quite stingy with the fucking hints. Anyway, it turns out it's this guy. The guy that had me go bowling. Long story short, he barges into the church, reveals himself as the killer, and everything goes tits up. He was in love with the dead servant girl, who in turn had an affair with the farmer guy and got pregnant, whose children then found out and they murdered her because they were afraid to lose their inheritance. And then the local police chief and the doctor, and the police chief was missing the entire time from the game. So, but then the two of them, all the time ago, when the girl died, when she was killed, that made it look like a suicide. So they covered it all up. So the doctor was implicit. So that's where he died. And one of the farmers, who is husband to the other farmer's daughter, and who is father to Boy, our Messiah, then pulls a gun on this guy, on the murderer, and we talk him down from shooting. So he just drops the gun, and then Schmidt pockets it. The murderer then whips out a gun of his own and threatens to shoot the farmer's wife, right, who is also stepmother to Boy, our Messiah. So now there's just guns everywhere. So we pull a Bavarian DYSCO Elysium, and we shoot him in the arm with a cool skill check, because we got a gun now too, so everyone has guns, but now he's gone, he's lying on the floor, that takes care of the guns.
Boy, where did you get that gun? Put it away!
Shut your mouth!
Oh, for fuck's sake. Boy, our Messiah, pulls a gun out of fucking nowhere and threatens to shoot his own stepmother. The farmer then jumps in front of the bullet. Having killed his own father, Boy breaks down into tears. Gets slapped by his stepmother and fucking dies. Bavarian DYSCO Elysium. Credits roll. So as a Totgeschwiegen, a hidden gem,
Nein.
did I have fun with it?
Ja.
If it wasn't so painfully unoptimized, perhaps if they went for a 2D approach instead. I mean, there's a lot of cool art when you're having dialogues with people, I don't know, just come do some of that. I mean, there would just be less to complain about. Under the Jang, there's a pretty charming historical murder mystery with a admittedly hilarious conclusion. Active Fungus claim to be history enthusiasts, and it clearly shows. There are neat little info drops present in the menus, and they're all detailing the historical references made in the game in case the player wants to immerse themselves further and so on. It's clearly a love letter to a specific time period and a specific aesthetic that the developers were so clearly enthused about. And that's what I find endearing. Thanks, Active Fungus Studios. And good job, Totgeschwiegen.